A very good evening to one and all present. A very warm welcome to today's webinar. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking out precious time from your busy schedule to be here with us today. According to the latest India Skill Report 2021, 46.59% of MBAs and much larger percentage of other graduates are unemployable in the country. Today, NDIM is pleased to welcome you to this exciting learning opportunity and question and answer session to understand the relevance of industry internship and life projects as a part of PGDM. NDIM is known for providing the finest internship and life projects to its PGDM students and has been declared the best in India for industry linkages, for students' employability, and for corporate environment by all the apex national commerce and industry chambers of India continuously for last 5 years by ASSOCHAM, CII, and FICCI, including AICTE, Government of India. Confederation of Indian Industries and All India Council for Technical Education, Government of India, jointly declared us as the first and the only Mentor B School of India for a period of 3 years. Let me start the webinar by introducing the eminent panelists in the alphabetical order of their names. Mr. Debashish Ghosh, Vice President and Country Head HR, Barkadia Group. He's a senior human resource professional with over 18 years of experience in managing end-to-end functions in human resource. Earlier, he was associated with companies like GE and Genpact, managing multiple roles in HR. He's an executive alumnus of IIM Calcutta. Mr. Ghosh has been awarded with prestigious HR credentials like the Senior Certified Professional from Society of Human Resource Management and Global Talent Management Leader from Talent Management Institute. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Dr. Kamlesh Vyas, partner, Deloitte. He has over 25 years of experience, including in business advisory services and leading organizations. He has served clients in over a dozen countries. Sir specializes in conceptualizing and leading large-scale skill development and digital transformation programs. Sir had earlier worked with Ernst & Young, Towers Watson, and Ederson. We welcome you, sir. Mr. Musarrat Hussain. Mr. Hussain is a postgraduate in personnel management and industrial relations from XISS Ranchi with 3 decades of rich experience in corporate HR and plant HR in diverse industry verticals like engineering, automotive, and IT. Currently heading leadership and functional school at Maruti Suzuki Training Academy. He has the unique experience of working with American, European, Indian, and now Japanese corporate, and is well versed with different work cultures, processes, and practice. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, sir. Mr. R. Anand. Mr. Anand is an alumnus of IIM Madras and XLRI Jamshedpur. Author published by Sage and McGraw Hill. He wears many hats. He serves as the principal consultant and advisor HR at HCL Technologies, external HR advisor to the board of Punjab National Bank, member of core committee in CII and IMA, member of the Strategic Mentoring Board and Academic Advisor Council at select institutions of higher education. He's also a consultant with Royal Government of Bhutan on leadership roles. Sir,
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure for us. Allow me now to introduce today's host, Dr. Vishwa Mohan Bansal. Dr. B.M. Bansal, Chairman, New Delhi Institute of Management, is a former civil servant and has been the youngest and the longest serving secretary, commissioner, Principal Commissioner and Director of India's biggest statutory urban body, DDA, Government of India, for 28 years. He has headed several public sector undertakings and was advisor to the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi at the time of Commonwealth Games 2010. He is the chairman of the Education Committee of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Sir, over to you now.
Thank you, Dr. Shivani. And it's a very, very warm welcome to all the esteemed panelists. And almost, I must say, record number of participants today. It's almost 700 people have joined the webinar today, despite the COVID fear and gloom. So it's a very warm welcome to all the participants who are drawn from finest of the universities and institutions across the country. Students from IIMs and IITs are there. Professors from IIMs and IITs and almost every university of the country are present here. And a very large number of our industry friends who are our recruiters, who are our well-wishers, are present here. Large number of people from globe also are present today. And the credit entirely goes to the team NDIM, which has been able to build a very strong industry connect over the years. I'm sure we are going to have great bit of learning today. All of us are aware, today we'll restrict ourselves, our discussions to MBA PGDM rather than engineering internships. So internships were introduced into MBA curriculum several years back by the Government of India, because it was found that most of the MBAs just had theoretical knowledge and were far away from any kind of a corporate awareness or corporate expectations or the way of working. And fortunately for us at NDIM, we have been having 100% internships for all our students. Even in the worst phase of the pandemic in 2020, rather our 480 students did 579 internships last year. And same is happening this year. 85% of students have already joined the internships, and remaining 15% or maybe just about 10%, yes, we took a meeting today, they are supposed to be joining the internships next weekend. And the current batch, they've already done about 163 live projects also in the last 6 months of the joining. So it's a great learning, and credit for the whole thing, or my gratitude for the whole thing, goes to the great panelists present over here. Dr. Kamlesh from Deloitte, which continues to be a very big recruiter of the NDIM, or rather I would say first day recruiter at the NDIM for the last 4 years. So our students every day look and prepare for Deloitte. So that's a great support coming from Dr. Vyas all the time. Same thing is Musarrat Hussain ji. The Maruti's name, or Maruti Suzuki's name, is such a big name. Even when we were looking for the first car, we remember everybody was wanting to buy Maruti. So Maruti continues to have a great name, and because of our very deep connect with the Japanese companies, because of the Government of India's NSDC's approval to us, and because of our students studying Japanese language, so Musarrat Hussain's Maruti Suzuki continues to be a very, very big support to us. Sir, thank you very much for being with us today. Same thing applies to Mr. R. Anand. Like Musarrat Hussain, Mr. Anand continues to be one of our mentors to students, one of our advisors to the Curriculum Council. And he's always been with us all the time. He guides us as to the industry 4.0 expectations, which we have embedded into the MBA curriculum, and our very big gratitude goes to him. Thank you, Anand sir. And same is for Debashish, a big support, a big help, a big guide to all our students. And simultaneously, I thank all the people from the industry present over here who have been big recruiters, big supporters to the NDIM all this time. And today we are discussing very important thing, because what happens is when students go for their summer internships, at times they're not fully aware of what exactly do they come back with. Most of the students are just happy that our industry mentor gave them a project and they worked on the project. They are not aware that most of the interviews for the jobs happen around their learning during the internships or their learnings while doing their live projects. So that is why we thought that students must know, especially our students who are back onto the summer internships and all students across the country who are looking for internships in good companies, and who else can be a better guide than the present panel. So I'll start today with Maruti Suzuki, because that continues to be one of the biggest names which not only engineers but the MBA graduates also look for. And Maruti Suzuki is known for the kind of training it provides because of the Japanese culture that it has inherited from day one, from the date of its birth. So, Musarrat Hussain Saab, I'll request you to kindly tell the present scenario of Maruti Suzuki, of your sector, and in what way, even in the current pandemic, you are trying to guide and lead the next generation. So we'll come back to you. We'll request each of the panelists to take 5 to 7 minutes in the first round, and we'll come back to all of you in the second round also.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bansal. See, basically, if you look at the auto sector, just to give a small background, this is a growing sector in the last 10-15 years, and there has been a huge demand of skilled manpower, right from shop floor to the managerial cadre as MBAs, including ITIs and diploma holders. And of course, the industry readiness is not there. So a lot of effort goes into campus connect, doing a lot of internship, including a lot of training incubation centers we have set up. So we managed to build relationship with various institutions, and on top of it we have built center of excellence. We have built the training academy, just all to create that kind of support. So just to give an example, for example, we created the dealership in India, for example. Now the second generation of dealership which started coming up, so that also became very important, that the continuity of business has to be there. So we were running 1 year internship program for second generation of dealers, which included families, or for the chartered accountants, or for example, the company secretaries or things like that. But the biggest chunk was, of course, the graduate engineers and MBAs, which is in a big way. And of course, at the shop floor, we completely run a student training scheme, because that is what is actually helping us create shop floor ready workforce, because the guys that we get from ITIs may not be ready. So we are running our own course, and rather we have adopted ITIs across India, so that the right kind of automotive related courses are there, and they can go to the value chain. Not only us, can go to the other partner or vendor companies, or to the dealership. So training becomes a very, very big part of the entire talent and capability building process within Maruti, because we are not only coping with the current technology and processes, but we have to also cope with the disruption which is happening at a very rapid pace in our kind of industry, where we are talking about industry 4.0 and now 5.0, or we are talking about disruption. We are talking about things like the kind of electric vehicle or autonomous car, or we talk about all kind of technology transformation coming into this segment. And with Tesla also coming into India, there is all the more excitement in the automobile sector within our country. So just to give a feel of it, uh, like for internship, which is an inherent part of our process, we have various kind of internship. And in fact, let me tell you, I have myself seen that in a particular year, we have close to 1,000 people doing internship from January to December. And these are all, for example, students coming in from engineering colleges, students coming from B schools. Uh, Also, we support our employees. Their children are also undergoing engineering or MBAs. So we give preference to them. And we have two kind of internship that we do. One is a paid internship, and one is a unpaid kind of an internship, which is larger in number because we cater to the population. But the paid internship are one where we do campus selection, bring them here, and the pre-placement offers are also actually rolled out to these categories of people. And and in fact, apart from that, the 1 year kind of or a 6 months kind of project we do, there we pay. And those are basically inherent part of our talent building process. And what we do is that our internship could be ranging from 4 weeks to maybe 8 weeks, sometimes even goes up to 10 weeks also, depending on the kind of live projects or work we are doing. But other than that, we have ongoing live projects. So we partner with many B schools. And when we have some projects going on and where we need volunteers or people, so it gives a very good exposure to students who actually come in and be part of that process. And this we have been doing with many leading institutes over years, including many in the engineering segment also. So this is in short what I have to say, and maybe a few more we can take on as we move the
So
session.
we'll come back to you, sir. We'll come back to you. Primarily, I will ask you when we come back is what are the 3-4 expectations from students when they're doing internships?
Yeah,
What
definitely.
exactly and what exactly you ask if you when you come for the final job recruitment, what exactly would you ask them around the internship? So we'll come to you in the second round and
Yeah,
ask you these
yeah.
questions.
That
Yeah,
we'll discuss. That we'll discuss.
yeah. And before I come to Dr. Kamlesh, because he's an expert and his company is known for research globally and counseling and guiding and advising the entire industry, I'll just like to have a brief about the tech sector, about the IT sector from Mr. R. Anand as to what exactly Anand Saab from students of PGDM MBA who are doing their 8 weeks of internship in the tech sector in companies like you, because tech sector is not removed from MBA. Almost 40 to 50% students go after their MBA in the tech sector, especially because colleges like us who teach kind of a tech MBA or tech enabled MBA where technology has become part of every course curriculum. So technology companies like you are our big recruiters and big internship providers also. So what do you see the future of, first of all, jobs in the tech sector for MBAs? And how do you think they should be preparing around it? Second round will come to the internships.
Right. So I think it's a great question, sir. So if you look at, even if we take the stock market in the last 2 years of COVID raging the world, one of the sectors other than pharma, which has been really a beneficiary, who saw an opportunity, is the tech sector. And COVID has really accelerated adoption of technology all over the world. So every organization wants to offer its services through technology because they are constrained from doing things physically anymore. So that single fact has resulted in a great demand for technology services all around the world. So as you can see, all of education has become online practically. So that is education as an industry moving away from a physical realm to a more online realm. And what is behind that? That is fueled by companies like Zoom, whose platform we are using today to do this very conversation, isn't it? Or Microsoft Teams, or Google Meets, and so on. So technology has enabled this rapid adoption and changeover in the world from a offline presence to online presence. So it has been a big beneficiary or a gainer from this whole pandemic. And the second thing that is happening is it has got some secondary consequences. For example, as things move online, the security of what moves online becomes very paramount. So technologies like cyber security become very important. We need information or things collected to be archived, searched, stored in a very appropriate way, and where devices don't matter. So technologies like cloud are becoming very important. So whether it is first order effect or second order effect, technology is likely to be a big gainer and a big transformer of the world as it moves and manages this pandemic. So that is a good news from a technology sector, and it is going to continue to be a big consumer of talent. Then the second question comes is, what kind of talent is it going to consume? And if I have to ask that question, I think a lot of way technology is done today is becoming very, very sprint-like and agile. So gone are the days when you had a very grand plan of that you will make something and 2 years later it will get realized and then it will be deployed and people will be trained. So gone are those days where technology is operating that way. Today, technology is operating in a very agile mode. So if somebody wants something, you just quickly give a prototype in 2 weeks. Then you develop that prototype and create a working prototype in 4 weeks. And after that, you deploy the prototype, learn and make a iteration on that prototype in another 2 weeks. So things are becoming very fast, and where the understanding of what the user wants and what technology can do is being iteratively deployed. So one after another. So you do an iteration, say technology can do this. Are you interested in this? Then the user says, no, that looks good. This looks bad. Then you do one more iteration. So in that kind of a world, people's ability to understand consumers, which comes from their marketing function, people's ability to understand people's preferences, which come from marketing and HR function, people's ability to understand consumers' ability to pay, what they will pay, when they will pay, how they will pay, which is understanding of economics. So MBAs are becoming very integral, or MBA-like thinking. It doesn't have to be MBAs. Whosoever has that thinking of trying to relate to the user as to what technology can do to them is becoming very important in the success of these companies. Therefore, what we are looking at is not people who say that, okay, that is technology, usko to maine chhod diya, isliye MBA aaya. No, that won't work. People who are able to say, okay, I learned something in technology, I learned something, I didn't learn something, I learned something in MBA. How do I constantly connect the two together and create value for the external world is the kind of attitude that we are trying to look for. And just on the question of internships, while we'll elaborate later, I wanted to tell students that way back in 1997 or 1998, I forget which year, 1997 perhaps, 2 students on a summer internship wanted to find a mathematical method by which they will look at a document and order its relevance to what is being asked. And it was a summer internship project. And the company that was born out of it is Google. So Google was actually a summer internship project done by 2 students, not even inside an organization. They did it under their professor because they tried to solve a very important problem of how to search and order the results of a search when search happens. So summer internship is not to be taken lightly. If a Google can happen out of summer internship, which dominates the world today, which influences all our lives, right from the day we switch on the mobile phone, and you can imagine that many things are possible. I think that very ambitious mindset has to be there when people go into summer internship.
Thank you. That's fantastic, Anand. And that gives not only a big hope to the student community, it also emphasizes upon them the importance and the extent to which they can go to expand their learning in the summer internships. So they must keep their mind big open, much more than what has been assigned to them by the industry mentor. And now I come to Dr. Kamlesh from Deloitte, partner Deloitte, because especially since they are one of the key players in the entire advisory sector in the whole globe. So what exactly do you think, Dr. Kamlesh, first of all, the job sector in the coming 1 to 2 years? What is the hope for the students who graduate from the colleges this year or next year or 2 years from now? And thereafter will come and the next question about the internships in detail, because you have been a big internship provider to us. We'll come to that in the next question.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak with you all. And I hope everybody and their families are safe and well. Before I go there, Bansal Saab, I must compliment both my predecessors, Musarrat Saab, as well as Anand Saab, on the way they have beautifully brought out two critical elements. Particularly, Musarrat talked about how Maruti Udyog Limited is partnering with the ITIs, and this model of almost like ownership of those ITIs at an intellectual level. I think, to my mind, this is the future. Now he demonstrates what he's doing with ITIs, but I don't see any reason why this can't graduate to engineering colleges and MBA colleges. And all along for last 20 years, we have been speaking about this industry academia disconnect. And to my mind, there is no better connect or a solution to that problem than what Maruti is doing. So Musarrat Saab, a big congratulations. And I think this is the future of how to prepare work-ready graduates or work-ready youth. The other example I have of Anand talking about how Google emerged out of internship. Now, to my mind, that is such a beautiful role model, because we see interns, of course, many of them go on to do excellent work, but most see this as a jamboree, wherein you have 2-3 months, you go to those companies, you pull out some old reports or your seniors reports or something else you pull out, and you somehow get done with it. You know that you can't be sacked. You know you will get some certificate. You can go home and submit it and somebody will accept it. So therefore, to my mind, that is such a beautiful bar to set, that such wonderful work can be done out of internship. And to my mind, this is a golden opportunity. It is safe. It is in the realm of an organization. You have skin in the game, and you've got all the resources available to you. You can go to anybody in that organization and seek help, and they will guide you. You have no other liability but to make a huge impression with the kind of work one can do. And to my mind, both these ways, the institutional approach to partnering, the Maruti way with academic institutions, and the way we look at internships in a very different way, the way Anand described, I think, to me, those two are a big part of the answer to the question as to how to sort of work on these partnerships through internships. Now, coming to the specific question on the job scenario going forward, I know we have many people on this call, and I'm assuming that many of them are students and many of them are respected faculty members from academic institutions. And I will just break this into two parts for both of them. I think if one is a student, I think there is no better time to prepare well, because it is definite that as we emerge out of COVID, and hopefully with prayers we will do that soon, they would be not just the current batch looking for those jobs, but also the previous two batches, because the placements in the two previous years has been affected. So in a way, and in India, we always say it's always 1 million a month. We produce 1 million a month graduates who are seeking work. Of course, I'm including all categories. So in this sense, this is not just million a month, but this is 12 months, 12 million a year and multiplied by 2 to 3 or 2.5. So there's going to be obviously intense competition. At the same time, since many of the organizations will emerge out of COVID and will like to, be aggressive in their hiring patterns, therefore opportunities will also be many more, like unlike a regular year. And this is where the real chance for those students who demonstrate good learning during these last 2 years come in. And Bansal Saab and other colleagues, I think internships, we have seen students in internships, and I'll just break that into 3 parts. One is just the input the intern is able to provide. How often are you seen? Are you seen early in the workplace? Are you seen till late? Are you there on all days? Are you present in all interactions? I think that, to my mind, is the first measure and definitely gets observed. Not that by itself it is going to be the only measure, but that's the first thing that people note. And so that's at an input level. Second is your throughput level. How well are you participating? Are you listening? Are you raising your hand every time there's an opportunity? Are you willing to offer help? Are you taking initiatives? Are you doing things that you weren't asked to do, etc., etc.? Right? So are you, not only are you there, which is the input level, but are you doing stuff while you are there? And then takes us to the output level, wherein are you producing something? You put a report here, a presentation there, something here. So people want to see what is it that's come out. And I think in an increasing order, these have different levels of impact. So if I am a young student today, and I was that maybe 25 years back, and I think those are the kinds of efforts, of course, that can result into outcomes that Anand talked about, is to, are we heart and soul into that effort? Are we taking this as the only opportunity on which my career depends? Or are we taking this as another, visit to another corporate organization? And to my mind, in that effort lies the way the organizations will note a particular intern versus somebody else. So I'll stop here. But I think that internship does provide a very safe opportunity for students to really experiment a lot. You have absolutely nothing to lose. And I think that is where the faculty members also have a critical role to play in the way they prepare their students for those internships. They can always rev them up. They can always prime them up before the internships happen. There is no point, if these inputs are given later on after the internship. But since they see batches after batches, if the students can be prepared for this kind of an experience and a learning opportunity, I would think everybody would stand to gain from the internship experience. Over to you, Bansal.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kamlesh. Very, very meaningful thing. Extremely useful what you all said. The guy is required to make his presence felt at the workplace and during these 2 months. That is what matters in the long run. And we'll come back to you again for further discussion onto this. And Debashish, now you belong to entirely different sector altogether. And yes, only yesterday one was reading a report that all the rich people from across the globe are now running to Dubai. Okay. So what exactly do you see the job scenario for the MBA graduates? And we'll come to the internships, as I mentioned in the second question. So what do you foresee as the future for them in the next 2 years, 3 years unfolding? And what 2, 3 things you just feel that they may choose, or they may be picked up by the auto sector, they may be picked up by the technology sector, or by your sector, which is present worldwide. So what do you think 2, 3 things student must know as of now, and how is the future shaping according to your industry expectations?
Sure. Again, I want to thank you, sir, for having me today. And I wish and hope that everybody is very safe and fine at your own homes. And I really love the way my fellow panelists, Dr. Kamlesh sir, Anand sir, and Hussain sir has spoke about the whole thing about students and jobs and internships. I'll actually start with my Google story, because Anand sir and Kamlesh sir said about this. I have a personal Google story, which is short and very interesting, I think. In the year 2002, I was very young professional at that point of time. I was in my second year of, I think, my job, my career. And I was working for GE at that point of time. GE during the Jack Welch times, golden days of GE. One afternoon, I get a call from a company, and this recruiter told me, Debashish, are you looking for a job? And I was not looking for a job, but I was happy somebody's calling me. And then I asked this gentleman as to which company are you calling from? He said, I'm calling from a company called Google. First of all, I laughed, saying that how can a company be called such a funny name called Google? Because it was coming from, nobody had heard about it much, and he was coming to India for the first time. I said, can you repeat what you said? He said, no, Google, Google. And then I said, what do you do? And he explained something I didn't understand. And then I told this guy, sorry, but I'm working in GE, right? And you can imagine that I won't be working for a company like Google. You were just starting. I'm sorry. I do not know how my career would have changed. Might be just changed for a better or for worse. I do not know. But the reason I've shared this story is because to answer your question, at least it is very difficult for us to say at this point of time in 100% certainty what kind of jobs will come up, what industries will come up in 5 years, 10 years down the line. What you probably know is that, like Google in my story, all the students here might be working in a company in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, which does not exist today. And if I were the student, I won't be very unhappy about it. I think there is a lot of fun in not knowing a few things. If you do not know a few things, a lot of possibilities or a lot of opportunities open up for you as well. So first of all, I want request all of us to be very positive. Not knowing something does not mean that the world is going to be very dark and bleak. It can open up to the world of possibilities as well. In my industry particularly, is very, very interesting because I belong to the financial services industry and specifically into real estate finance. Interesting times. Our focus on my company is in commercial real estate, and we all know that in COVID times, the commercial real estate part of it is the most impacted. People are thinking about what will happen to the future of office buildings, and everybody is working from home. Would people ever go to hotels for leisure? Right? What will happen to the travel and tourism industry? So all these thoughts are going on, but interestingly, what you have observed is that people who are investors, because when we buy a commercial property, these people are generally investors. These are the ones who go to Dubai, for your example, rich people. The rich people are not really shying away from investing. Rich people, or the investors rather, they think that this is a good opportunity for us to invest for the future. The sense I'm getting is that although there has been a talk of working from home, working from anywhere, hybrid workplace, but the industry is pretty bullish about working from office. They are very bullish about the fact that work from home will stay, but it will not be entirely work from home, it will be a hybrid. So what we are doing really is to change the value proposition of the properties that we are making, building, constructing, and selling. The office buildings that you see today would be very different. It'll be more of a combination of entertainment, fun, and work, and it's a place where a lot of creativity will emerge out of that. Unlike where you have just a desk and a the system, as in right now. Few things are happening in the residential space also, where all of us need a working area in our homes right now, but we just makeshift it. Ek table mil gaya, ek chair mil gaya, ek system mil gaya, to we sit it. What people are doing earlier, there was a demand of, I want 3 bedrooms and a puja room and a dining room and and a balcony and so on and so forth. The industry is now giving, instead of say a puja room or might be an extra bedroom, they're giving a room which is fully equipped, bespoke, with a work from home model. So you have this, you have a budget of 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, up to 10 lakhs. You can get a Sony 55-inch screen, and you can, and whatever this based on both speakers, and you can plug in and play and work from your home. So a lot of creative things are happening. So therefore, currently, while we had a short-term impact, the short-term impact could also be there for a while till the time we, like retail investors can start buying the properties. But in the long term, because the industry will be able to respond to the challenges and the new needs of the customers and the clients, and we'll be able to do that. But otherwise, in the industry, apart from the banking services, because if I say financial services, I broadly 95% of it will be in our banking services, then insurance services and investment services. Insurance and investment has been no impact, by the way. I mean, there's been actually insurance has actually gone up in every sense of the term. Life insurance is people are really valuing that, and it's really gone up that way. Investment services, people are seeing the value of long-term investments. Banking had a short-term impact because while the government wants banks to give loans to MSMEs, but MSMEs can go bust, NPS can go up, therefore banks are not giving loans. It's a very in a catch-22 situation that banks are going through. There is a issue around that as well. But overall, I see there is a lot of hope in the industry, which has been impacted by COVID, because we are really innovating and really doing things which we have not done if something like COVID would not have happened. It forced us to do things differently, use technology, as Anand sir said, to really disrupt the way we do things. Just one more point before I end is that using of technology. So when we are, trying to sell properties, one important thing we have to say is "Sab kuch to kar liye," but if you want to buy a property, everything said and done, you want to go and visit the property and see it. Everything else, I can give you a data around your, what much investment, what EMI you will pay, how many kilometers it is from a hospital or a school. I can give you all of it, but you have to at least see it. So what do we do in this? So using technology, using, virtual reality, using drones, you're also making it as real as possible. So if you want to go and buy a property in Surat, for example, sitting in Delhi, it can be as real as it can get, right? And you can buy the properties, see the property sitting from Delhi and buy it using online methods. So different things are being done. Very interesting things are being done, which I believe would not have been done if COVID wasn't there. And these things will create a lot of opportunities for students and young professionals going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the point I wanted to make.
No, fantastic, Debashish. You're opening up a lot of hopes for all the 780 participants present right now. And thank you so very much for that. And one didn't know of all these new things, such fantastic things happening, that your drone can also show us around the property that we're going to buy. At least I wasn't aware of this thing. That's great, remarkable. And now we come back to Musarrat Hussain Sahab. Can you kindly give me any 3-4 specific things which you feel industry expects every intern to learn essentially? If they do not learn those 3 things, then perhaps you will not recruit them, whatever kind of a fantastic internship they may have done.
Yeah. So see, internship gives a very, very good opportunity to candidates or students to expose themselves to the corporate or industrial environment. So this is the best opportunity. And in fact, let me tell you, if I recall my internship days, which is more than 30 years back, and for Kamlesh, let me tell you, Nathan was my first guide under whom I did my internship. And I still maintain relationship. So one thing is that, the kind of networking and relationship, just imagine we had no Google or we had no internet or mobile in the days I did my internship, but it gave a lot of networking that we could create. It gave us exposure to the professional environment. And the best part, like in Maruti, what we do is that we try to instill a sense of discipline into the candidate. That, this is a transition between your educational life to a corporate life. It's a transition. There are shifts and change in one's life, So this gives an opportunity to balance and adjust, because suddenly you go without getting exposed, then it becomes really challenging. So you have a boss, you have a hierarchy, you have a network, you have a particular time to come in and go, you have a particular time to eat, and you have a task, you have a target. So it also gives opportunity to test the strengths. You want to do anything, in organization, you get a lot of support. So what we try to see ki how much the person is involved, because see, let me tell you honestly, less than 10% people in internship are actually serious about internship. Even the institute is serious about internship. In many places I have seen that internship is a mere requirement. So that's why they will copy some seniors report and things like that. And this is where, when we go to a campus recruitment, uh, through various processes, we don't look at too much of the kind of academic knowledge or things like that, because if somebody is an engineer from top engineering colleges, clearing JE or CAT, or studying in a top B school, see, academically they are sound. So what do you assess? What do you judge? And this is where, when we go to a B school or an engineering colleges, we focus more on the attitude of that person. We focus more on what, not in terms of theoretically what they have done, but what exactly they have done in their project. What principles they applied, what kind of application they did, how it benefited the company. I mean, all those things, then you understand that it is a real self-driven project or it is a copied project. So project becomes very important for many good companies, because that gives the real flair of the kind of effort that person has put in. Apart from 4 months, 2 months of exposure to any industry, it gives ample exposure to the even corporate governance, or when you are writing about a company itself, it gives you a very good flair about understanding an organization. And if it is original, you do efforts, you do benchmarking, so it builds confidence in the candidate who have really gone into the serious work. And I have seen a lot of institute where guides are very particular. They will land up in the company every week, and if they have 3-4 candidates, they will come and review, which is a very good part. But there I have also seen that today networking is very important. In our days, we never had LinkedIn or even mobile phone as such. Today I see guys doing internship and pop up quickly. I get a LinkedIn request, and guys doing an internship is already connecting on LinkedIn. So I mean, and that's the best way to get noticed. I mean, that's the best part of technology. People are using, and then a couple of other things like time management, discipline. You know, they, apart from understanding the org structure and company structure, they get a feel of how hierarchies are there in the organization, what are the timeline, and all those things they get exposed only when they come to the organization. If it is a corporate office, or if it is a manufacturing plant, or it is a banking sector, when they go to the dealership and actually work there, they get the real feel of how the work is going on. In fact, lot of in sales, when people are working, lot of exposure is given to various kind of field work, and the how dealership operates, how retail sector operates, and they are sent to other malls and other areas, how this is happening. So it gives a very good feel. But the question is that the project has to be good, the guide has to be good, both from campuses. In corporate, the challenge is that there are 4 or 5 people assigned to a manager. They may not be able to devote time, but then there are youngsters who are actually supporting them in a very big way. And working on a live project is the best thing to do. If they are working on a live project, I mean, no better learning you can get from there. That's the best thing to do. And I remember working on a live project more than 30 years back. I still relish and enjoy, and I remember each and everything, how and with no computers also in real sense coming. We had DOS and, I think all those kind of old version. We had no Excel. We had, I don't remember, SuperCal, SC3, SC4. Those were the, kind of packages we were using. But if you go deep into it, it is always there, and that's the best learning that one can get. This is what comes to my mind. And this is what we look at when we go to a campus, as you are asking, Dr. Bansal. I mean, the attitude part and how much focus they have done on practical learning.
No, and Saraf Sahab, you hit the right nail, because today at least 50% of our 800 attendees are students, and remaining 30% people are from the academia. So I'm sure they got the message very clearly, is that it's only, according to me, 10% students who are very serious during their internships. And number two thing that he mentioned was the seriousness of the faculty and the institutions. How seriously are they pursuing the whole thing? So we are fortunate, our people have already, they established contact with our faculty, establishes contact with the industry mentors the day one the student joins them. And they remain in contact with them on every week basis. Every faculty has been assigned 8 students. And there's a very thorough review of the students' learning, student suggestions, student problems, and what possible contribution the student ultimately intends to make for the company, what positive suggestions that he wants to make for the company. One is trying to work at that. So what you mentioned is extremely important, that both students and faculty need to be serious about their learning during this time. That's extremely important. And do I come to you, R. Anand? आप भी ये बताइए that again, adding to what Hussain Sahab has said, what 3-4 things you feel that student should not be missing out, or what you as a recruiter essentially would ask them when you ask them questions around the internship learning?
So firstly, sir, I think they have to, I think the metaphor is a sponge. So when a student gets inside an organization, and getting inside an organization doesn't have to be physically inside an organization in today's time. As they get to be part of the work stream of the organization virtually, whichever way it happens, there has to be, the metaphor of a sponge is a good one. So the sponge actually absorbs everything that, that it encounters, right? So it should be able to absorb a lot of information, whether it is relevant or not relevant at that particular point in time, so that it can be processed later. So I think that is something that I would really expect. So for example, when somebody has done something, and say in the final interview that they have done something, and around that an incidental piece of information we believe they must have known, so we will ask that information, saying that what about this? And if they haven't looked at it because they have been very narrow, like a horse that has been narrowly constrained in its vision, then that would be a black mark, right, or a red flag. So we would expect them to absorb things in and around what they are doing like a sponge. So that is one thing. The second is to understand, see, always at any particular day, time, hour, an organization has some preoccupation. It wants to solve some problem. It wants to find some piece of information. It wants to do a program. It wants to do a promotion, or it's doing an initiative. So to understand what was the priority that the organization was chasing. So not only in your own limited internship, but also what are the 20 other internships this organization offers. Therefore, taken together, what is this organization trying to do at this stage? What is the information it is trying to find out about its external environment, its competition, its priorities? So that would be a second thing. First is be a sponge, try to absorb all that comes your way. And if there is a little incidental thing, say, that was not in my syllabus or that was not in my scope, never say that. But try to absorb the related information, unrelated information like a sponge. Second is to find out what were the important preoccupations of the organization. What is it trying to do? And third is to be able to create a map. So when we come back and say both, so an intern who goes to their friend later and says, hey, this is what it is like to work inside this organization. People are generally serious, like Musharraf Saab said, right? So what is the overall ethos? When do they start? What do they do? So they should be able to describe to a friend, what is it like to work inside this organization in a very relatable way that, like the drone example that Debashish mentioned. Sitting here, I should be able to visualize what is it like to work inside the organization. So somebody, even to a friend who is able to correctly describe what is it like to work inside this organization, who has a map. These are the 25 things that are happening there. This is the most important priority. X is doing this, Y is doing this, X and Y are reporting to Z who is doing this. So create a map. I think be a sponge. That would be the first. Second is understand the problems and priorities that move the organization at that point in time. And third is to be able to create a map. And like the drone example, sitting here, if I talk to that person, I should be able to know what is it like to work inside the organization. Those would be the three expectations, Dr. Bansal.
Thank you, Anand sir. Thank you very much. And just responding to one of the queries on the chat box, last year, as I mentioned, all our 100% students had online internships because the country was in deep scare during May, June, July, August. Okay. And I repeat, 90% of them have already got placed and joined the companies, even when their session ends in August. The remaining 10% would be picking up finest of the jobs at the campus in the online interview board by, I'm sure, 31st of May, number one. So online internships, especially in MBA, at times are even proving better than the offline internship, because in the offline internships, if all the recruiters here on the panel agree, in the offline internships, lot of time is wasted again of the boss and the internee. While in the online internship, you're kept busy by the boss into one thing or the other, and you really prove to the boss that you have been able to live up to his or her expectations. And so, and another thing is, as you know, if some of the young students may not know what it is, there's something called pre-placement offers. When the company were doing your internship, where you still have one more year to graduate and do your MBA, complete your MBA. So many companies offer you pre-placement offers if they find you as a good intern. And 39 of our students, 39 students last year during the severe pandemic, when there was such a big job loss, they got pre-placement offers from the finest companies. So I only wanted to tell you people that online internship, I feel, has been a bigger learning than the offline internship. If you are not working like an engineer on a machine or on a product. So I come to Dr. Kamlesh now, because he again, not only as an advisor or a consultant to the whole world, he's a big recruiter also. And he would be able to now tell us what exactly he looks for the learning from interns when he recruits them.
Thank you, Dr. Bansal. I really love the way Anand talked about the sponge metaphor. And I think that, to my mind, summarizes everything. Because that tells a recruiter so many things about the intern. It tells us that the person is not limited in their vision. The person has orientation to learning, and the person has got, just great observation power and orientation to details. So I think these by themselves tell so much. So I think sponge metaphor, if the students on this panel, if they want to remember just a few words, I would say sponge would be definitely one of them. I also like the way Debashish talked about how the sector is changing. And, for example, how people would like to have a work from home facility in the residential campuses. And is that an observation or is that a suggestion sometimes the interns can even start talking about at one at workplace? Because the fact that you don't have a baggage, you not work for this industry, at least you can come back and not be limited by any one vision or the other, and you can open up and just create ideas from your raw intelligence. I think that is what a role that interns can play much better than anybody else. The third thing I would mention is that I would recommend our young friends, the students, to treat the internship as important as a 3 months interview. You are being watched, you're being observed, you're being noted, people are seeing you. So how serious are you when you come in for that 40 minutes interview? This is nothing but a 3 months interview. And in that context, for those 39 of your students who got the PPOs, and to the wider 90% community which got the jobs, congratulations. You did a great job on that exercise. And for the remaining 10%, I would say better days are yet to come, and they would be there soon. Now, this whole internship element, especially in an online mode, to my mind, really separates the chef from the grain. Because here is an opportunity when devoid of all hierarchies, devoid of all focus on just information versus analysis. The whole world is your oyster, really. And I was speaking to one MBA institute, and I was just amazed by the preparation that institute did to send their interns to the organizations. And I was talking to this professor. He said, we have a week-long process where we prepare our students. The professor prepares, the student prepare, they talk about that sector, and they can even talk about hypothetical situations that may come in when this person goes into this organization. So to my mind, that shows so much intent, the right intent to be able to make the best out of the internship. The second point is, I think it was Devashish mentioned, or Anand Saab mentioned, on using this internship as or I think Musharraf Saab mentioned when he talked about Nathan being his 30 years back as mentor and still a friend. I think the networking opportunity that this thing provides us is just immense. And if I'm not coming out of that internship with 20, 30 good friends, then I have not done my internship well, irrespective of how good a report I write. And the last point, which maybe is a compliment, it goes as a complementary input to the sponge example once again, is I'm reminded of that book, which is The One Night at the Call Center, Chetan Bhagat. Now, if you think about it, the book is just based on one, 12 hours experience at a call center. Now, if a 12 hours experience at a new sector can emerge into a novel, and that to my mind is such a good, example of somebody being a sponge. Imagine the kind of inputs a student can get when they are at an organization for 3 months. And I'm talking about all kinds of things. What are you seeing in their interiors, to the organizational structure, to the politics, to the dynamics, to the pressures, to the focus, all of that. And if we are true to our work, if we are 100% mind, body, and soul into that exercise, I can assure you, in just 3 months, you would know 30, 40, 50, even 60% of that sector, which people working there for 30 years have known. So that is the intense power of going there fresh and observing and absorbing everything that is there to learn. So intent to learn, initiative, making the best out of the opportunity, networking. I think, to my mind, those are things that we should focus upon, and they would definitely show up when we are talking to somebody, when we're talking about our internship. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you so much, Kamesh, because something very important and very useful emerging out of all this session, and very useful to all of us. And what Devashish, what again I'm saying, because you missed out on your important call with Google. And so what exactly do you think students should not be missing out during their internships?
Yes, and a lot of it would be, Dr. Bansal, similar to what Mr. Anand, Mr. Vasarath, and Dr. Kamlesh said. I'll probably start with where Dr. Kamlesh ended about networking. And I cannot say enough of this, about how important this is. Building relationship in those 2 months And it need not be really with your immediate manager or mentor. It could be nobody stopping anyone from reaching out to the upper management if required. Right? Nobody stopping you from volunteering to another company initiatives. If the initiative happening, sometimes I've seen interns holding back. They think that it is not my job to participate, even though they want to participate. This is a great opportunity. I think this internship for 2 months have to be treated as a permanent job, period. If somebody is not treating that as a permanent job for 2 months, then I think we are missing the bus somewhere there. Like the way you build relationship during a permanent job, thinking that you have to work with this person for a longer period of time, same thing has to be done. The second point, I think that not many interns do, and I would encourage everybody to do, is that we hire interns not to do a job that we are doing. We hire interns because they come with a fresh pair of eyes. I would love them to really challenge us and challenge status quo, and not really follow what we have been following. Because if we had to do the same thing that they would do, we would not need the interns. We want somebody to come with a fresh pair of eyes, challenge us, challenge status quo, and ask questions to us, and really think out of the box. Might sound very wacky, kind of a solution, but might be it is true. What happens over a period of time, especially, I think I can give my example. When I'm working for so long, it might that my views could be a little constrained or restricted, and I'm not open to all the possibilities. That is where these freshers come in, but it is not happening often that they are challenging us enough. That is something that I would request everybody to do. And therefore, not hesitating to share their own views, being assertive, that those things become very, very important. The third thing is that while the project itself is a great learning opportunity for them, there are other learning opportunities that the companies provide while in those 2 months. I know that in 2 months, a lot of companies, I know for Berkadia it happens, they get access to various other learning platforms, tools, which comes to any other employees. I see some of them going and logging into, say, LinkedIn Learning and doing certain courses, Udemy are doing certain courses because it is sponsored by an organization, but not many do it. So those 2 months, besides their core responsibility, what are learning opportunities they're getting? I would really request all of them to make good use of that. Either be it a formal learning opportunity or learning opportunity while having a simple chai and chat with a leader. Those things also matter a lot. So that has to be one thing that I think will do go a long way in improving the effectiveness of the trainees. The last thing is that what I want to share is a good habit to build is to keep a journal or a diary, whatever you might call it, for 2 months. I'll tell you why it is important. First of all, after a period of time, the 60 days is lost in the busyness of life. You come back to campus, you get busy, you forget everything, right? However, a lot of students join MBAs as a fresher. They don't have a prior work experience, and a lot of questions come up if I'm a recruiter, I'll ask questions on their internship experience. Aapne kya kiya? What have you learned? And frankly, they very much on the surface about, well, I did a project on recruitment. So what was the result? Result was that I helped to sort, I don't know, about 150 CVs in a day or something, right? But if you really go deeper, the real learning does not come out. That is because some of the learning is lost. So if you can take a journal of what somebody told you liked, keep a note of that. What have you learned today? You keep a note of that. That's why you can be able to storytell better when your interview happens at the end of 1 year. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you to convince your recruiter that you have really learned something. Doing a job and meeting just a number is not the same as learning. And interns sometimes struggle with articulating more than anything else. Keeping a journal will help them articulate. So those are 3-4 things I recommend that I have seen some interns do it. And because of that, they get good results out of that.
Thank you. Very useful, Debashish. most of the things we have been talking on this to the students in last 2 weeks before they went out for the internship starting 3rd May. Lot of these discussions and counselings have been happened last night also, it happened 2 hours back also. So, but what you have been adding, all of you have added today, that is going to be as additional feature for the students currently undergoing the internships and those who will be starting the internship from next weekend. So thank you very much. And now we'll come for questions, and I'll just try to answer before I get to Ankur and Shivani. I just saw a couple of questions on the chat board. I'll just tell you one or two small things. Being a non-engineering graduate doing your MBA, it's a great thing. Do not feel that if you're not an engineer and your MBA, chances of some kind of a job you're missing out. No, not at all. First of all, the recruiter is looking for something new and different in you. Please understand that. That is what the panelists have told you. Number two, the technological skills that are needed today or they're needed tomorrow in an MBA are a part of the MBA curriculum. They have been, we daily keep on adding those skills. And every student who has no science background or technology background is totally apt and great at that. Number two. And number three, there's a question that HR opportunities or marketing opportunities or finance opportunities. So my request to you is to please, since the entire proceeding has been recorded, you can go home and you are in any case sitting at homes. So see the recorded version once again. The panelists are telling you that you should think of something new, something innovative, something that is not happening, something that you can add on to. So once you have that skill, you may be able to add something to the HR features or the marketing or the finance. And for that, you don't have to be really belonging to that sector. When we go and work in any office, first of all, we should only keep on seeing what new can be done here and whatever is being done, how can it be improved? Do not take that what is happening is the best thing. If you take that as the best thing, then you presume there's no learning. Always try to improve on the things that are happening. And now, of course, we come to questions from the panelists.
So, sirs, there was a question we all talked about. Kamlesh briefly mentioned on the attitude where in a physical environment, you're the first to walk in and the last to leave. But some of the students are asking that, it seems the primary goal of an internship ideally should be a pre-placement offer. So what in your experience are some of the critical do's and don'ts? What does one definitely need to showcase to get hired? And what is the one thing to be definitely avoided during your internships? And how do they distinguish themselves in this online world of internships? They've all been listening to success stories of interns getting PPOs in a physical environment, but in an online internship, how should they distinguish themselves? So anybody, I would request, please start and everyone can chip in.
Anand sir, would you like to go first? And Musarrat sir, I'll come after you. Devashish.
Sure. Okay. So I think companies have, their own policy about having pre-placement offers or not giving pre-placement offers. So if you did not get a pre-placement offer, it could be also because of the policy of the company. So don't. So you have to have fun during internship. Otherwise, you can't be at your best. You can't be desperate about, am I succeeding or am I failing? Am I succeeding or am I failing every day? So that is the first counsel I would really say. And in terms of trying to distinguish yourself, I think, and connecting also the previous question Dr. Bansal had asked about is it a HR internship or a finance internship or a marketing internship? Usually internships are interdisciplinary. And because you've got a recruitment person, you've got a marketing person, but there is nobody who is connecting recruitment marketing together, your internship project is likely to be defined in that area. So trying to limit yourself to this subject or that subject will really miss the point. So the more you are like, broader, cross-functional in your approach, and the more you try to marshal all the facts that you can bring together, and the more gracefully and naturally you are able to present and say that, okay, this is what I saw, this is what I had analyzed, and this is what I think will be the result. And I'm open to learning and evolving this more. I think displaying that frame of mind is very important. So I'll give a personal example of an intern that I hired because he did some work in leadership development, and where I asked him to benchmark all the leadership development paradigms that different companies are using, compare them in different circumstances, and say, what can we learn from that for our own leadership development effort? So that was the internship that I gave this person. And the person did it so very well that when we gave him a pre-placement offer and when he was hired, and I had immediately deployed him for testing whether a new artificial intelligence algorithm that the vendor says he is deploying is working or not. So there were 3 people who said that my AI works very well in recruitment and selection. And I used this individual who was doing a leadership development benchmarking of different companies to actually devise an experiment or a pilot, which will compare the results of these 3 algorithms and say which one is working well, and even that, how much it is working or not working. So it is not about that one particular thing. It is about the general mindset that somebody brings to the table of trying to bring a lot of facts together to really try and honestly solve the problem, to authentically present it, and to be open to its evolution and further development. I think that is the kind of thing that one would look for. And if it didn't result in a pre-placement offer, it could also be because of the company's circumstances at that time, its pre-placement policy. Firstly, don't judge yourself every day during your next 8 weeks saying, am I doing well or not? So will I get a pre-placement offer or not? Because that brings a very cautious attitude to life. Only when you are having fun can you be little creative. So that will be my first thing. And the second thing is try and bring a more cross-functional, interdisciplinary mindset to your project. And you are likely to get a pre-placement offer.
Right. Thank you very much, Anand. Mr. Musarrat.
Yeah, in fact, I would like to add here is that, see, in most of the organization, especially large organization, there is a ratio of pre-placement to actually campus hiring. So it's not that all the people who are doing will be eligible for pre-placement. In fact, there is a certain percentage that companies try to take from the intern who are actually working, and rest is actually through the various campus hiring process which is going on. And the manpower planning or capacity planning is an on kind of a process where the exact number of people that you need for next year has to be planned, and especially call has to be taken for these kind of trainees. So I mean, if somebody is not getting it, is nothing to be surprised because they get the opportunity to sit in the campus. So it's not that the opportunity is lost, number one. Number two, in our kind of organization, as I said, that we have paid live projects, and those are the only people eligible for pre-placement, not the other one, because we cater to various kind of projects and people coming in. So that is one. And second, Anand has already answered that they have to be cross-functional and things like that. So the exposure has to be there. In fact, should not be limited to that area, but there is a whole gamut of areas where their understanding has to be there. It's not that you are there in HR or you are there in marketing, you don't know about the organization or somewhat about the business or things like that. You should understand holistically about the organization. If you have spent really 8 weeks, you should know the organization. So unfortunately, when we go to some of the campuses and start probing into what they have done, asking simple question, very, very simple question, and they are foxed. They don't know. So it means that the seriousness is not there. So it has to be, wholehearted effort. That's what I am trying to say.
Right, sir. Right. Yes,
And then
Kamlesh.
Ashish, you want to go first, and I'll maybe follow you.
Yeah, sure. So again, I think that from a internship perspective, there will be no impact per se, right? As everybody has said, that the mindset is important. What the way you approach that particular internship is important. Uh, Keep an open mind, as Dr. Anand said, which Anand said that don't approach with the mindset that मुझे तो PPO मिलना है इससे. Then your focus moves from the project itself to the PPO. PPO is not your objective. Your objective is to do the project well and learn from it. Okay, PPO is a matter of the company policy. Sometimes it can be given, not given because of various reasons. So my only 2 cents would be that don't have the right measures for yourself, and PPO is not the right measure. Right? Focus on the project and focus on learnings that you get from the project. That is more important.
Yeah, I'm glad this question came up, Ankur, because the way Anand and Devashish talked about the whole thing, that not to be sort of hung up on the immediate PPO or whatever, I think that cannot be the goal, because then, as Anand said, you cannot enjoy and you cannot be yourself. And I would just add that being yourself, to my mind, is the biggest goal during those 3 months. Because remember, what we do is less important than who we are. And precisely for that reason, we are called human beings and not human doings, right? So just being ourselves, just have fun, be the best you can be, the most creative, the most participative, the most networked, the most hardworking, the one taking initiative all the time. I think that is what is of value. And for example, Anand talked about being cross-functional, so that not be limited to, oh, this is my field I've come from. I'll give you a very small example of an intern. This guy comes to know that there is some large conference happening for the employees on a certain day, and there was a notice that interns therefore will have an off that day. So he goes to his manager and says, "Sir, can I participate in this conference?" The manager says, after checking with a couple of people, "No, you can't. This is purely for employees, and you can't participate." So this guy is little he then goes to the admin manager. He says, "What are you doing these days?" He says, "No, I'm working on this conference that's happening in a few days." Saying, "There must be a lot of load on you, immense. Please don't even talk to me now." He says, "Can I help you with your admin work as you prepare for this conference?" Right? And he says, "Yeah, of course. I have to make this agenda and I have to plan for so many things. And why don't you help me with this?" And then he helps this guy over the next 3, 4, 5 days, and something happens. And this, for some reason, the person who was to be the MC for the whole event is not available. And since this guy had worked on the whole preparation, the admin manager asked him to become the MC for the whole event. And once again, the luck favors the brave. So this whole attitude to wanting to wanting to be in the game, wanting to participate, to my mind, if we keep that, I think that would be the most critical thing. And then again, going back to Anand's initial, I can't forget that I've learned so much from this interaction. I'm sure our students and faculty have also. The sponge, be the sponge. You're observing everything that is in the air of that place that you went to. And don't worry about the PPO, don't worry about the job. If not here, later, if not this organization, some other organization, the hard work, the learning will never go waste.
Thank you, Kamlesh. So I think you all summed up this answer very well. So Kamlesh spoke about initiative, Mr. Musarrat spoke about responsibility and wanting to be present and contributing. Devashish talked about adding a new perspective and not just trying to be part of what is already going on, whereas Anand talked about the importance of being a sponge and absorbing everything. I think, Kamlesh, one thing you were much senior to me in Anderson. One thing I was perpetually told in that 4-year-long apprenticeship was that never repeat a mistake twice. It's okay to make any mistake once, but if you do it twice, you're gone. And this worked globally as well. I remember my internship days with Bank of America in New York. It was somewhere 3 a.m, and this guy comes to me, my batchmate, and he says, "I need to fax some papers to the MD. He's waiting for it." So he faxed it once, and he said, "I'm not sure if it's gone." So I said, "That's fine. Yeah, fax it the second time, right?" Next morning, he was told that he will not be hired He said, when the first time you faxed all blank papers to me. At least the second time, you should have had the sense to turn them upside down. You cannot be repeating the same mistake twice. At least, hedge your risks and learn from whatever you've done wrong. And this, I'm talking at a Wall Street level, where this principle that I learned in Anderson, that don't repeat the same mistake twice, is a globally applicable thing. So thank you. Just one other question for half the audience in the students are the ones who are pursuing their internships, and the other half are the ones who are aspiring to join a management program. Uh, I was kind of unhappy last year when I interacted with a lot of students who got a little too anxious with the whole Corona thing going on and deferred their education plans. Whereas globally, if you would see any time the industry falls, there is rise in enrollment in universities and people use this downtime to upskill themselves. So a lot of the students deferred their plans thinking that 2021 would be a good year when the world would return back to normal, to the pre-COVID era. And now we are sitting in a place where at least India numbers are 50 times worse of where they were last year at this time. Again, this year, a fresh batch of students comes and raises their queries that whether it is, okay to defer this plan by another year or two. So what would be your sense? What would you advise to students who may be feeling anxious at this stage? Because my 2 cents would be that in management, we always talk about responding to change, being agile, being flexible, and responding to the change scenario. So are we ever going to go back to a pre-COVID era, and are those skills ever going to be required again, or have we permanently shifted to a new reality, maybe not in online or offline, but in terms of skill sets? And how should a new aspiring manager be thinking, or a new aspiring student be thinking about these times and his career ahead? So since we ended with Kamlesh, this time maybe we can start with you and we can roll back and end with Mr. Musarraf.
So thank you, Ankur. And I think we understand the apprehension that many of the students or the students wanting to get into the management programs might have at that stage. That's very natural. But I like to tell our young friends that, we can only focus on things that we can control. Right. So I think given the situation as it is, and nobody knows what the future is, at least we can focus on ensuring that our learning remains the best it can be in the circumstances. It is a fact that even when the world comes to the pre-COVID normal, the world is not going to be the same. And I think the world has learned values of working from home. The world has learned the value of self-management, which is something which is being constantly driven through this whole new approach to life. The element of delegation, the element of working remotely and still combining in teams, the element of distributing work, I think all of those are new skills that would come in handy. The element of skill over knowledge, the element of analysis over information. And I think these are all here to stay with us. And actually, COVID has just accentuated the speed with which these things have become more important. These were always important, but the new reality has made sure that we latch onto it like our life dependent on it. And I think we should look at the whole scenario in that context.
Sure. Thank you, Kamlesh. Devashi, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I think sure, and very similar to Dr. Kamlesh. I think that it's important to have some action, not inaction. So what I mean by that is that, well, it is okay if you think for a moment that, what, I'm not very sure if I want to do a management course right now, but at least you should start working then. So that is not happening. So see, I can gather knowledge in two ways. I can be skilled by going to a management college, or I start working, and might be I can take a break after a year or 2 years and come back and study management or an MBA, right? But what I have largely seen is that, unfortunately, from my side, is that I have seen students who have not gone to a management school also have not started working. That, I believe, is an inaction. You have to choose one of the two. Right. So if you are, I can't take a decision on their behalf whether they should study or not. But what I would recommend is that you should at least do one. Not doing either is something you're doing a disservice to your career, is what I think. Because every day that we work or we go to a business school is a learning every day. and that day would not come back. That is the perishable, quality, right? You can't get a day back in your life. So do either of this is what my, my urge or nudge to be to the students.
Thank you, Debashish. Mr. Anand, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Kamlesh and Debashish both said. So if I have to say that pandemic is there, 95% of HCL's employees are working from home. We have not postponed it to after the pandemic, right? And pandemic is here. E-commerce giants are working, educational institutions are working, and so either the students should work or they should study. They cannot wait. There is nothing called wait. I totally agree with my previous two speakers.
Sure. Thank you, Anand.
Yeah, see, I completely echo the same what other panelists have said. But let me tell that, the future of work that we talk about, workforce, workplace, everything is changing. Pandemic has only expedited all this. But that means that whether it is education or industry or anything, everywhere change is happening, and one cannot wait or waste time in terms of that. When things will improve, then only I'll work or I'll actually study. So my take is that this is the golden chance. Either take up courses, do some online courses, or start working. But time should not be wasted just because pandemic is happening. There are various predictions about pandemic, and things will come to normal. But once we emerge out of this, many things would have changed by that time. The way we work, the workforce, everything is going to change, and there will be a new normal already set in. And we cannot think that uh, just because I am not going to a college or I am not going to an industry, I should better wait. It will never be like that. Even when pandemic is there, life is going on. So we have human beings are intelligent to adopt to change, and that is what has the life is going on for millions of years, because we are adopting to change all the time and surviving. So and there is a survival of fittest already. That theory is there. So let's not wait. Each and every moment is critical. Each and every moment is important. A time wasted is time gone. So please look at the new way of studying, new way of working. But life has to go on, study has to go on, work has to go on. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs. So whoever was hoping for an answer to relax for a year, that answer is not going to come from here, from this panel. So Dr. Bansal, I think we are out of time in case you want to.
No, certainly I would like to, before I thank the esteemed panelists, no, I think I need to add a couple of things after seeing the questions. I can only tell you the simple answer is the students who were to join the campuses in 2020, when there was such a big pandemic and such a big fear psychosis going on, when online learning was never ever anticipated or expected and nobody was prepared for. The students who sat back home, they have still been sitting home. Those who joined the campuses have now gone for summer internships, and they will be picking up jobs in the next 6 to 8 months. That's number one. Number two, because the world is now changed to online way of working. So the job that you will get now, I just told you the students of 1921 batch, which I mentioned 90% already got placed and others will place another 30 days. Again, they're all working from home. Okay, so please be clear that you may also be working from home. So get on to not wasting your another 1 to 2 years of life. Other things that I wanted to say is, out of reading some questions, is that the opportunity you have said I get in internship differs from the career I see for myself. Will it make a difference? Not at all. All the panelists have only emphasized on one thing. whatever you do, try to have a complete learning around that. Because whatever may be your career goals, you in any case totally are unaware of the problems or the difficulties that would come up there. So you have to see 20 things in life, then only you'll be able to reach your final goals. You keep on your goal, you keep your career very clear about what you want to do, but whatever kind of internships you get in any field, they're going to be a big teaching for you. They're going to be big learning opportunity for you. So get on to whatever you get and try to make a big learning around that. I'll tell you only one small thing. All of us every day, don't we keep on commenting that Prime Minister should do this thing and Prime Minister should do that thing? All of us get hundreds of messages who do not know anything, any background at all about the subject. In all the groups that you are there, they keep on finding faults and they keep on suggesting कैसा होना चाहिए. तो कम से कम वो दिमाग ये तो लड़ा रहे हैं कि होना कैसा चाहिए. तो आप सभी से ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि wherever you go, whatever internship you do, please try to keep on thinking कि इस organization में क्या सुधार होना चाहिए, क्या improvement होनी चाहिए, ये organization कैसे बेहतर चलेगी. बट वो तभी होगा अगर आप उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को अच्छे से जानते होंगे. Without knowing the internal details, if you start commenting and giving your advice, so then it will be considered that you are too immature right now. So please study the organization extremely well, and thereafter come out with whatever improvements you must come out with improvements. That is what is strongly expected out of you. और एक और सवाल था इसमें कि इन दी ऑनलाइन सिनेरियो जो मुसर्रत साहब ने कहा, जो कमलेश जी ने कहा और जो सभी ने कहा अबाउट बेटर नेटवर्किंग एट द प्लेसेस दैट यू आर वर्किंग. एक सवाल था कि सब हम ऑनलाइन के जमाने में नेटवर्किंग कैसे करें. तो नेटवर्किंग डजंट एसेंशियली मीन कि आप उनके दफ्तर में जाके पर्सनली उनके साथ चाय पियोगे. Even in the offline mode, the boss never had time to offer you tea even during 2 months of your internships. You just have to, when you start your work in the morning, you can simply send a good morning message to your boss and to all the colleagues with whom we have been introduced to. Try to connect with other colleagues by simply sending a message. Ki, I'm from so-and-so, I'm so-and-so, I'm working on this project. I'm very grateful that I'll be working with you in the coming days. Similarly, when you wind up the work in the evening, send message to all of them. It was a great learning today. Please let me know what more can I do before I wind up my office. Keep on sending them mails and messages which are relevant. Don't bore them. Don't send them any useless messages. They should find value into every message that they get from you. So there are 101 ways. Rather, I would say today, now, even now, 709 people are there. So this networking opportunity is being provided only in the online system. And when we were offline, you can ask all the panelists over here, did you ever address 750 or 780 people together? Just without wasting your entire day. So here you came on the panel at 6 o'clock, you'll exit at 7:45, and you had the opportunity of meeting 780 people. So online offers you big opportunities. Only request and suggestion from me and all the panelists, please keep your eyes and ears open. Please keep looking for opportunities all around you. Opportunities are there, but you need to be keeping your eyes open to them. So I don't think any other questions have remained unanswered, but still all the panelists are there. You can always send questions to the mail ID that had been sent to you, the invites that had been sent to you. And if you want any answer from any specific or a particular panelist, we will request them to respond to your further questions, if any, and we'll be very happy to connect you with the panelists. If they have time, they will certainly respond to you at their convenience. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Anand, Musarrat ji, Dr. Kamlesh, Debashish, and thank you all the esteemed attendees for being a part of this great learning session. We'll continue with the learning, and I'm sure something you will pick up from what has been discussed today. But real thing lies not in picking up. Real thing lies in doing it. And as Devashish also said, in fact, I told my students also last week when you were going out, that please start noting your key learnings or key observations, what you feel should be done in the organization, start noting down in your diary. So whatever has been discussed today, please go and note down in your diaries today. And that alone is going to take you through all the coming situation, the coming 6 months. All the very best to you. Thank you very much, the esteemed panelists. You have been part of NDM. You have been always available to us. You have always been guiding us. I can't pay my gratitude to you in any way. You have been such a big support all the time. Yes, I just got remembering one small instance. Musarrat ji was taking one session recently with our students. And now this is called intelligence, I would say. One of the students asked him 1, 2, 3 very relevant questions. And you know what happened? Mr. Musarrat told that, I think it was a girl student, he told her that I want to offer you internship, come do internship with me. Straight away there. And the student told कि sir, I'm sorry, मेरी internship तो already लग चुकी हुई है. Okay, he still suggested कि ठीक है जिंदगी में कभी भी आना हो तो मेरे पास आ जाना. So this is the way to outshine others. This is a way out of a total class. That student made a big impact on Musarrat ji. So this is the way to stand out. I just remembered this thing and I thought I must share with the students.
But Dr. Bansal, one more thing I would like to add. We have been working, when we are talking about internship, we realize that the good internships are not recognized in the way it should be. There are some institutions in India which are doing internship competition and recognition is there, but in a limited way. So we have been working from some time that whether in partnership with NHRD or PhD CCI or SOCHAM, we can start a inter-B school competition on internship, which is I'm also speaking to Dr. Bansal to help us in that. And this is only because we give importance to the seriousness of this internship. And we need to, because if real good work has been done, it also needs to be recognized across the industry, and people should know, okay, this is a great project in marketing or a great project in HR, and it should be published in their relevant magazines or things like that, and the person should be awarded and actually given a kind of a POP whose projects are found to be very good. So these are certain things from the industry point of view, we are thinking to take it forward. It just came to my mind.
Now, I'm grateful that you touched this topic that between you and me, we have discussed it 3 times in the last 2 months. In fact, this proposal came to New Delhi Institute of Management 2 years back. And for 2 years, we have been saying that, yes, we will do it. We will own up everything. And you have been very kind because you have been the creator and the original thinker of this thing. So I once again reiterate and repeat that we are open. My team is ready for the last 2 years to take it off. You kindly, even if NHRDN does totally good, if they are not doing, I'll connect you.
No, but anyway, we'll be needing an academic partner.
Sir, I'm your partner, as we already discussed.
So it's not going to be an easy thing pan-India with so many hundreds of B schools. Very difficult to manage. It will be something like, you do a kind of a B school assessment. It's something like that.
I agree with you, sir. Our students and our team will do it. If we need, we will augment our team, but we are ready. We have understood the whole project in the last 2 years because I think this has been discussed about 10 times with us. So we want to do it. We are very keen. We are very, very keen. And I'll just tell you why we can do it. For the first time, last evening, it was the ISTD Delhi chapter conference where they were celebrating the 80th birthday of Padma Bhushan Dr. Atreya. Okay. So, what did Dr. Atre speak there? I'll just tell you that, and so you will have more faith in us that we'll be able to do it. All the other people, starting from Vinishil Gautam and all, Mr. Abrol, all of them were there who have worked with him long innings. At the onset, at the start of the proceedings, because Dr. Atre came to our platform only once, and my meeting with him yesterday was only for the second time. His first statement to the entire senior professionals yesterday was, NDIM is a platform for you. I tell each one of you to go and work with the NDIM. And he ended with the statement. And then I said, Ke sab, aap batao, how do we work together? And you know what he said? He says, okay, Mr. Bansal, I'll do 2 days of conference with you, where I will invite all the vice chancellors and all the directors of the country. You get going on to that. Okay, so my word to you is we have the capability, we have, if nothing else, as initially Dr. Kamlesh mentioned, we have the attitude to do it. So let us join. You've seen us all these days and all these years. So you know us very well. Let us do it. We'll be too very happy to take it forward.
Thank you very much, because today we are talking about internships. So I thought maybe perhaps.
No. That is a great opportunity. Let's take it forward. Let today be the starting day for the whole thing.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
work it out fast.
Yeah. It will be pleasure and honor to us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a great
Thank you.
1.5 hours spent for me personally. Lot of learning.
Lot of learning for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you,
Thank you
Debashish.
so much, and keep on supporting the college and the IIM and its students. That will be a greater favor to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Bansal.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night. Take care, and everybody be
Yeah.
safe and
Thank
take
you.
care. Bye bye.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.